Not what can we do to train who we have to reach, to multiply and to reach more people outside of the wall. See? So we're seeing in America also a trend of the megachurch now kind of falling apart. Because especially with the economic time that we have now in America, people are scared. They want a personal pastor. They want somebody they can call and talk to. They don't want a megachurch where you can't ever touch them, man. They want somebody. They want people they can connect with. And so there is a real movement now for church planting, especially smaller churches in large populations such as this. I believe all my heart we're on the verge of a church planting revival. I do. I eat it. I breathe it. I pray about it. I mean, this is what I do. This is where my heart is. What God has just instilled within me. And I do believe it. I believe in the years to come, we will see a church planting revival. There are some states right now that have really taken off with this. Ohio is one. We have 2 church plants in Ohio this year. Canada is one. Canada. There is a network of independent Baptist churches in Canada. Now, they don't put all their money into a mission fund or anything. No. They're independent Baptist churches. Dr. Jessup is from Canada. He has such a network of churches up there, of independent Baptist churches. All he has to do is say, hey, we're going to plant a church in a place in Ontario. And he's got 20, 30 churches ready there to help. In fact, he told me this. He said one time, they planted a church somewhere, and he had a couple of pastors call and get on to them and say, hey, you didn't contact us. We really wanted to help. You didn't call me and ask me. We really wanted to send some people and help you. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll call everybody next time. I mean, good night. It's a tremendous attitude. But it says here they were multiplied. And that's the whole idea of the Great Commission in Acts chapter 1, verse 8. I was with a guy I went to church, school with, seminary. We worked at the same church together. His name is Rodney Moore. He started a church in the Washington, D.C. Beltway. I've been there 2 or 3 times. He's been there for 5 years. There's a good little church there inside the Beltway. Most churches start inside the Beltway, and then when they get to a certain size, they buy land outside the Beltway. He's been offered that, but he doesn't want to do it. He wants to stay inside the Beltway, where it's like 87% liberal. He wants to reach those people. He took us for a tour in the Capitol building. Anybody ever been in the Capitol building? Okay. I can lie about it. You all won't know. No, I'm just joking. He took us for a tour in the Capitol building, and it was really neat to be able to go inside. He used to work for the government. He had some helps there and to get us in and so on. We got inside, and he took us to the old Senate wing. It's just a small room, a round room. And you know what he told me? He said, under the leadership of Thomas Jefferson, 3 churches were started in the Senate wing. 3 churches! When the Capitol building was closed on Sundays, on the weekends, 3 churches used the old Senate wing to start their church in. Man, how far have we come? How far? We're at the other side of the spectrum, about to fall off now. And I really believe that if we're ever going to take America back, if we're ever going to take the world for the gospel of Jesus Christ, it's through church planting. Birthing more churches, getting a stronghold, and so on. Not for any political reason, but for the kingdom of Jesus Christ, to reach people with the gospel. Would you pray for BCPM and pray for the Rowan family?
Yes.
That will accomplish this, not single-handedly, but through churches getting on board to want to help accomplish this revival. And I do believe in the next 10 to 20 years we're going to see it. I want my kids to see it. I want to see a flame of fiery, Bible-believing, preaching churches just starting up all over the place. Pray for that if you would. Brother Bryce.
I don't know if you're available for that, for this right now, but I think probably some folks have some questions.
Okay.
Maybe got some statistics and some things like that. And so maybe they've got to drive all the way back to the West Coast this evening. And so if you'd be considerate of that in asking your questions, but there probably are some questions that folks here would have if you'd want to take the opportunity to ask them.
Sure. Anyone have any questions? Help me answer. Yes, sir.
You driving back to California or Washington State? That's the West Coast, right?
No.
Well, actually, in 2 weeks we do. We have our first meetings in Georgia, and then in Savannah, and then we end up in San Diego. So we go from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and pray that old Betsy makes it all the way.
What's your level of support right now?
Well, since I'm still pastoring, I wanted to be fair to our church to not be away too much. So I've been in several churches in our area that have just started to raise the support. So we're right now at just $200 to $300 a month right now. That's about all we have right now. Now, I have booked up for 3 months as soon as we leave next week, and I've been very diligent in doing that. So that's where we're at there. Appreciate it. I want to be fair to our church and not be away too often. Grace, anybody? Yes?
Would you be willing to kind of give us a picture of what it'll be like when you're there, how long you'll be with the churches and what you'll
Okay,
be doing?
yeah.
What's the
Okay,
question?
how long we're going to be with each church plant. And the neat thing is, up to this point, Dr. Jessup and the other staff members would fly in and fly out, and have a house. Normally this is what is done. Once a church contacts us, we go to that church and we explain how we can help that church birth another church. By the way, we work for the pastor. We don't come and run the show or anything like that. We explain everything to the pastor before we ever present to the church, and he calls the shots. We don't go in and push him around or anything like that. So we go in first. We set a timeline, a 6-month timeline in place. Then we come back 2 more times before the church starts. We come back to help them early on to find a place to meet in. And then the second time we come back is for a pastor's luncheon to get the pastors in the area together, and we take them out to a lunch, usually a back room of a restaurant, and we explain to them how they can help that week of meetings. And that's 2 months before the church starts. And then we go in the week of meetings, and we're there for about a week. The beauty of us traveling is I can be there a week or 2 ahead of time, and even stay a week or 2 afterwards if my schedule permits, so that I can help them knock on doors and help with nursery, whatever. My wife can do that, whatever. So normally we're there for the week of meetings and we're gone, but we're going to be around a little bit longer to help them out. So. Okay. Anyone else?
Have you ever encountered, when you go and contact pastors in the area, that some of them are like, no, we don't want to help you, we don't want them to start a church right there?
Oh, sure. I don't argue with them or anything like that. If they open up and they give me reasons, it's fine. But normally it's because of the territorialism. It's because maybe they're not doing that well as a church, and they don't really want another church coming in. But we also know that if God puts it together, then this is the will of God for this to happen. Now, normally the areas are new areas that do not have an independent fundamental church, Baptist church. See, normally these pastors have a desire for a suburb here or something here. Now, we are going to start a church in downtown Detroit. And this is very interesting. Downtown Detroit, Detroit used to be a tremendous conservative town. I mean, but what happened was, which what happens with a lot of large cities, the city turns a little bit dark, and so the church is split. And I don't mean split in half. I mean they take off. They go out to the suburbs. They go out beyond the interstates. They go out. And so then what they try to do is reach the inner city people through buses to their church. Well, this is what's happened in Detroit. And so there's really no independent fundamental Baptist church in downtown Detroit anymore. And so now we're going to help a church in Ohio plant a church in downtown Detroit.
Do you have any kind of a policy of how close you'll plant one church next to another? Or?
Not really. Remember, we go in and work with the pastor. So the pastor has already known if there's resistance or people that didn't want it there or whatever. So, we don't determine where to plant a church. You won't go on our website and find these are strategic areas that need churches. we believe that churches plant churches. So I don't want to give a man